Talk on January the 22nd,
23rd.
2023. And today, Monday, is a beginning. Uh, but this is going to be your hero's journey with the ACT Matrix basic training. How'd I put it? I rewrote the title a
I
little bit.
liked it. Yeah, that was
Basic training and learning how to live a
a flexible story.
So, which is true. That's what it is.
That is the hero's journey.
And we'll get to it here in a moment, explaining to you what that is, how it fits in with ACT and the Matrix, and this point of view and all that. In the meantime, housekeeping. Upper right, you can follow us. Yay. Love followers. In the lower right, you can chat. And myself, well, somebody 15 hours ago said he
Yeah, someone was
right
excited.
now it's me, David, and Phil have checked in. Maine, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. Ooh, Jasmine just came in. Didn't say where she was from, but we figure we know. Usually she's hanging around in Akron, but you never know.
Yep,
Akron. Okay. And
there's a couple other people that look like they're online, at least from what we can see. So chat in, let us know where you're from.
Chat in, whatever. We'll have a couple of people here. Some folks to talk at and chat at. It's 101. We'll give it another minute or so.
Yep. From Cali, but temporarily in Akron. Yes.
As we get into this 2023.
Yes.
From Cali, but yeah, exactly. We knew that. My Crowdcast keeps freezing. Oh.
Well, we're
cooking along here. Seem to be go on this end.
Yeah.
Which we like that. The one thing about version 2 has been for Phil and I, it's much easier to get on and do things. Oh, and I didn't get to the green button.
Yes, green button.
And man, we've been doing well. Like every couple of days, people are signing up. So,
yeah, getting patrons. Thank you, new patrons. If you're watching at some point or watching.
Juarez, Mexico. Oh, wow.
Hola. Oh, interesting.
Oh no. Wow. Phil used to get gremlins too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't use the app and stuff. I
tend to stay away from the app.
Well, we're the broadcaster, so we're on computer.
But if you're maybe remote,
Canada. Oh wow, that's a big place, Canada.
Yeah, whereabouts?
You could be on the left coast and the right coast or the middle.
Way at the top. Close to the border.
They're on the Great Lakes. Who knows? We have people from all of those sections.
Yeah,
from Canada. So, I think so. I got all the housekeeping out of the way. 104. Yeah. We're going to do the hero's journey. It is also known as the hero's quest. So, either they're interchangeable terms. Close to Montreal. Oh, how nice. I've presented in Montreal twice. Pretty cool, huh? And man, one time it was like minus 100. It was cold. Oh, Jesus. Woo.
Well, that's why they got that underground city there in Montreal, right?
Oh, man, it was
that
cold.
That comes in handy.
Whoa. So anyways, back to it. The hero's journey. That is referring to the fancy name is story arc, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you want to go all the way back, you can go back to Joseph Campbell.
Yep.
The hero with 1,000 faces.
Yep. So it is, and from the time all of us were little bitty things till now, we have heard story after story after story, watched movie after movie after movie, cartoon after cartoon after cartoon, that all contained the hero's journey, the hero's quest story arc. And so the hero, and my gosh, I mean, one of the best just laid out and shows it is, of course, the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yep.
And it's because it is a journey. It literally is a journey from the Shire to Mordor
and back.
And back, right? And so it's
there
so
and back again.
There and back again, exactly. And so it is a journey, and so that's a wonderful one, where you start with happy times, yay! You start the journey. You run into a little bit of trouble. You run into a little bit more trouble. You run into one hell of a lot of trouble.
A big fix. Big mess.
A big mess. Right. Finally, of course, if it's the story and the way most of them are, the hero and his band of companions make it. They vanquish the enemy, so to speak. They get to Grail or whatever, throw the ring in
a
whatever, and they finally make it back home and back to peace and tranquility, and that kind of stuff. And that's that story arc. And if you'll watch, I can't remember the estimation, but it's over half of all books and movies, I mean fiction stuff, follow that.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of nonfiction as well, because you can have
stories
about heroes' quests and stuff. So why is that important? Because we all write our own hero's quest. That's why.
Every single day.
You're writing your own, and you will be. And so whenever somebody says, "Tell me about yourself," you are going to touch on telling them the story of you.
Story of me.
All right, the story of you, and within that story of you is a hero's quest or a hero's journey story that you're trying to get someplace, and stuff is showing up and causing you troubles to get there, right? And that's the hero's quest. So whatever you're asked, and you think, Kevin, what do you mean? What do you mean? Well, it's easiest to look at it in terms of the Matrix.
Yeah.
And that's why we use this. And so the Matrix is really a way of having yourself or somebody else tell their story, at least some of the elements of your story. And so all of us have five senses experiences. That's where we see the lions and tigers and bears and dragons and stuff, the or the mundane stuff of whatever, but that's where you get that information. There's your mind, the stuff going on in your mind. Fear is a biggie for the hero's quest, by the way. We have very much satisfaction over to the right. Hey, that's when you complete the quest, right?
Yes.
Hey, yay!
The return.
I made it, yay! And then there's all kinds of relief where you're getting relief from lots of stuff. Right? And so we start these stories with this question: who's important to you? And if you'll go and start and watch just the first few minutes of show like Lord of the Rings,
yep, or Star Wars,
or any of them, you will quickly see them start laying out who and also what's important to the main character. That's the biggie, which is oftentimes going to be friends and colleagues and such. that what are going to be on the quest with them, on the journey with them. Harry Potter, you probably have heard of Harry and Hermione and Ron.
Yes.
Plus some other cast of characters with we have Bilbo Baggins and Gandalf and others.
And then you have the good old Matrix, which we should not exclude.
Oh, let's not do what. Yeah, we have the Matrix, and once again, the band of people coming together.
Have Neo, and then he meets Morpheus.
Yeah, Neo and Morpheus and
Trinity.
Ooh, famous. So, anyways, you guys get it. It always that. So that's really a big part of why you start with who's important. It's the driver of the story. It's who you're going to be questing for and who you're going to be questing with, right? So that's this huge part of the story. So that goes there. We already put fear in the lower left. That's yucky stuff. That's where yucky stuff goes. Well, without fail, the hero gets scared.
It's uncertain. He's moving into uncertainty.
Right. And so that's going to show up quickly in the story as well. And so you can see the fears and the, well, and of course, the trepidation of going on the quest. And really,
how you're going to navigate and move around. And
all kinds of stuff. So, and so in the upper left, we have actions. And so now we've gone, and this is, of course, what the movie would be about.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the action, the cinematography. So this is where they fight off the dragons.
Yep.
Get out of the swamps and all of that kind of stuff.
All those obstacles.
And in the upper right, we have all the stuff they're doing to go down the trail, to make it along, and it came up on one of my video feeds last night. So I watched the first bit of the first movie of the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yes.
And so they start off literally on a journey, right?
Yep.
And I was thinking, damn, it'd be easy if they just walk on the road like this all the way to Mordor, through it and ring and came back.
Just plunk that ring in there and come home.
Turn around and come back home.
Yeah. That'd be like a travel log.
But that's not the way good stories
No.
And for most of us, our story is not like that.
No.
And we have a lot of stuff show up and get in the way. And of course, in these movies, in any of these movies, stuff literally shows up and gets in the way.
Oh, very quickly.
Giants get in the way, dragons get in the way.
Yeah.
All kinds of
mean little nasty creatures get in the way.
There's all kinds of stuff shows up and gets in the way. So, but you vanquish it and you do stuff and you stay on the trail. You stay on the path.
You're still on the journey,
and you get there. And yay! And that completes the hero's quest. So we long ago, and what I mean about a decade ago or more than a decade ago, saw that the hero's quest story arch was, lo and behold, on the Matrix. And by the way, if you do this work a lot with other people, you will notice that they enjoy telling their story. I, Phil, others, we enjoy telling this story.
It's usually folks' most favorite story to tell.
Yeah, we enjoy it. So, and so that's one reason why people say, wow, it's really something the way I'll show this diagram to folks and I'll ask the questions and folks will really get into it.
Yeah.
They dive right into it and talk. And well, it's the hero's quest. They're telling their own hero's quest story. And that's what. So now you've given them a way to look at the elements, and that's what we put in the end, which is noticing. And so now you can notice, or you might have the opportunity to notice, who's important to you in the lower right. Yucky stuff showing up inside of you, that goes in the lower left. Might notice yourself doing relief moves to get rid of the yucky stuff, that's in the upper left. And you might notice yourself doing stuff in the service of who's important to you, and that stuff goes in the upper right. And now you might have the opportunity to notice all that stuff, and people go, I think so, I think I will. And that noticing, that's your storyteller.
Right there. There's your narrator.
It's your storyteller.
Right.
That's who does your. So that noticer, which is also called in the ACT literature, you'll see it called the observer self. Well, that observer self is the point of view that you use to tell your story. You know? And what I mean by that is like, okay, tell me everything from, when you were born till now. Like, oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
And you say, and don't worry, I got plenty of time.
Really?
Tell it all to me.
Yeah. Well,
it's that storyteller, that observer self storyteller that will tell the story. It doesn't matter whether the accuracy or whatever, it's just that it's a story. And you'll notice it's a journey. That's why we all love those movies and books and stuff.
Yeah.
They're journeys, and we're on a journey. So it's watching a metaphor of our own.
Watching your life unfold
in front of you. So it's fun. So you can do this. And whenever you do the matrix,
yes,
you're telling your hero's journey, your journey.
They're telling you the story.
And fun. Or you're going to let somebody else have the opportunity to tell their journey. And you don't futz with it. You just say, oh, where does that go?
Yeah.
That element of the story you just said.
There. Where would you put it?
Where might that go? And what that does is help the person get back to the observer self, the storyteller.
Here.
And the storyteller says, oh, that goes in the upper right.
Yeah.
Great. We'll put that up there. And boom. And now you're mapping out your story. And so what does that do for your story when you tell your story like that? Anybody know? Did I put it in the title?
Yeah, it's in the title.
Okay.
Just go up top and cheat. Go ahead.
It's in there if you'll look. Nobody's gonna jump on it.
How about if we give him a hint?
It's the last two words.
Yeah. First word begins with an F.
Nobody's gonna be brave enough to type it.
Oh man, must be Monday.
No. No. Okay, somebody type the word.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, thank you, Jocelyn. Oh, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Exactly. And so it flexes up your story when you do this. It's not like you were aiming to flex up your story.
No.
That's not. Well, you could be aiming or not. It don't matter. You're going to flex it. Just because of cognitive stuff going on inside of you, let's say, you're going to flex your story.
It's going to happen.
You're going to have more wiggle room within your story. And going back to acceptance and commitment training and therapy, that's what it's all about, is flexing that story. To go from a story that you're locked in and you don't have, or you feel that, it feels as you have no options. You're stuck.
Yeah. I got no choices.
Yep.
My quest has now come to a grinding halt.
Right. I'm stuck and shifting out of that to, oh, okay, there's possibilities
Oh,
here.
wait a minute. Let me take my narrator. Let my narrator take over here.
Right.
For a minute.
So the narrator can narrate you into a different place.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's literally what's going on. And that's why the big stuff about the observer self in ACT, that's it. Is that narrator, that storyteller, can now narrate you into smoother waters.
Move that story along.
Move that story along and get it going and get it moving. And that's what, so the whole, well, what I want to say is shooting match.
Yeah.
You know how they say, whatever, the whole enchilada of ACT and the Matrix and all is about you telling a more flexible story of self. And
Yep.
That's it. Now, the rub, and there is a rub. I'm sorry, there is. You don't
Goes
know
with every story. There's a rub to every story.
I mean, you know the ending, but then again, you don't know
Yeah.
the ending, right? And that's the rub. Like, oh no, I'm going to die someday.
Right.
Well, there's the end right there. Well, that's no fun to think about.
No.
I don't. It's just not. But it's like, well, what are going to be the circumstances of my death?
Right.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And what kind of story will I have weaved up until then?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's being written.
I like to say, well, the final chapter has not been written yet.
It's not been written, right? And so the story's got it over on us because they've been written. So there's an end.
Yeah.
So and of course, movies that don't have a nice clarified end run into trouble.
Oh man,
give them bad ratings.
You walk out very unfulfilled.
Right.
What was that?
That's no fun. We went the journey to come to an end, to come to a close. We want closure on the story, and by definition, you don't on yours.
Nope.
That is a source of anxiety.
Yes.
That is always there amongst us languaged humans.
We carry it with us.
Right. So yes, we're on a hero's journey, but we're just not quite sure of the end of the journey. So go back to the present moment. Well, what can I do now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hey, noticing my story.
Present moment. And basically, what Phil and I have come up with is, well, go do something nice for somebody who's important to you.
That's a nice addition to any story, we think.
Yeah, right. And it's you're adding to your story, right? You're adding to your story. And so, so now you're the narrator. So, okay. So I could go do something really mean and ornery and add that to my story. Or I can do something nice to somebody else and add that. You have a choice. I mean, there's certainly mean and ornery characters. Think Voldemort and Sauron.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader. Right. You can go for that, and or another, but whatever, you're going to be adding to your story in the very next move that you make.
Yeah,
you'll be adding to your story because your story is only additive. There's no delete button on that story.
You don't edit this story. This is not an editable.
That's the other rub. Or another.
Darn. Two rubs.
There's no editing room.
Edit button. There's no delete function.
I mean, yeah, you can edit it by, you can lie or forget things or all that, but that's not really editing.
No, those clips don't end up on the floor. They're
still there. So anyway, back to the idea of what we're talking about is adding flexibility. And you don't have to say, I want to add flexibility. That's not the point. The point is to narrate your story, tell your story,
going.
right? And then you, as you're telling your story, now you have a decision to make. What's the next element I want to add to my story? This is act. That's act. That's it. Think of it, folks. You actors, you expert actors out there. That's it. It's like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's what Phil and I were like, woo, mind blowing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's it. That's act is this stuff of going through different things. But in the end of the day, it's, well, what do you want to add to your story?
Now there's a question.
Yeah, I'll get you right.
Oh, what do I want to add to my
Now,
story?
and from a traditional act point of view, you might say, well, I'm afraid to continue. Well, that means you're fused. That's fused. So now you might want to, in a traditional act sense, you might do some diffusion to get loosened up from the stuff that's holding you back so you can get in a spot where you can take that stuff with you. There's the back.
Take it with you.
One of the all-time favorite metaphors, similes, or whatever you want to say, in act is about taking your junk, your stuff, the fear, yucky stuff, putting it back and taking it with you. That's, you don't get rid of it, you take it with you on the drum roll journey.
Your journey.
And the quicker you get at that, of like, yeah, that's crappy stuff, I'll throw it in my backpack and get on about my business of my journey. Boom. Now here's another thing that act adds in, which is it gives you a false ending. Meaning what kind in act, it's what kind of values would you like to head toward?
Right. What are you moving toward?
We don't say that. We don't use the values word much because it leads to troubles. But it's an ending. Where do you want to go? At least which direction do you want to go in? Toward the mountain or
toward the sea, out to the plains?
I mean, where do they send Harry Potter and them to? What are they looking for? Big journey. They're looking for. I bet. Let's see if we get any Potterheads.
Yeah, let's see. There's got to be some Potterheads out here.
Starts with an H. H-O-R. Nobody's knows. Horcruxes.
Yeah.
The big ass journey.
There you go. You got it, Conrad. You got to collect those Horcruxes.
Beat me to it. Okay, but that's one of the big journeys of Harry Potter. And you think, well, where is the hero's quest in Harry Potter? Huge part of it is the seek of the Horcruxes. Brilliantly written. But there's all kinds of great stories. There's 3 of them we love: The Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, obviously, and Harry Potter series. But there's many others that use that. But ACT is all about how to get it in your backpack. That's what makes sort of Lord of the Rings nice, because they've always got little naps.
They're always carrying something with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes they carry each other, you know.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, right.
Wise is carrying.
Shared purpose there.
Yeah. So, anyways, folks, that's this turn. So, on my journey, I'm going to stick stuff into my backpack and take it with me, and get her done. You know, to borrow from Larry the Cable Guy. Let's let it go. But then you got to have a direction, and that's what the values of ACT are, or what Phil and I use is who's important to you, what's important.
That'll work very nicely.
That works. That gives a direction to your journey. So we like to review this every once in a while, so you and I and Phil and Tina and others will get reminded of our stories. So when we watch Lord of the Rings, or I should say rewatch them, or any or even new movies, and you'll see the hero's quest
Oh yeah.
embedded within it. Not very hard. Over half of all
There.
movies use that story arc because it works. But as you notice it, boom, you notice your own story. Boom.
Automatic.
Now you can work on your story, look at your story, tell your story, and when you do that, you flex it.
Just like that.
So you don't have to say, I am going to flex my story.
No.
Not necessary. Just look at it, get out the matrix and draw it out.
And
Voila.
then the
There
flexibility
it is.
shows up.
Now, if you do this enough, you'll finally hit that. Well, I'm not sure what the ending is.
Yeah.
How long does my story go?
Who knows?
Deep questions.
Yeah.
As you stare into sometimes I call it the infinite self.
Into the infinite back. Yeah. Into here.
Right. In the middle is infinity. Because you can't see the end of yourself.
Perspective of perspective of perspective.
But put some thought into that. Think about it. Think about the end of yourself.
Yeah. Go inside and do that.
Whoa.
Oh. Pretty trippy after a while.
Yeah, then definitely it gets trippy on that one.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's very interesting to start looking at that. But then you see what so many stories and stuff are written about that infinity, that unknown. And the fears that can come up, because once you have an unknown, then fear will show up. And you can notice that fear.
Yep.
And then when you get lost, click. Do something for somebody who's important to you.
Get back in the quest.
And you're back on the quest. And that Phil said it. Now you're back on the quest. Boom. You got your backpack on and you're heading back down the road. And on your hero's quest. So it's very, very. That's why this is so simple, right, Phil?
Yes. And then, you could go and complicate it, but I don't see much sense in that.
No. There's no sense in complicating it at all. No. There's not. So all of you, so if anybody here with us, still here with us, have you contemplated your story? Have you looked at your story, narrated your story? Who's important to you? And the yucky stuff showing up. Your favorite relief moves.
Yeah.
Your favorite
go-to satisfaction moves.
Go-to satisfaction moves. Have you looked at all of that? And as you do, realize, oh my, I'm writing. It's an autobiography.
Yeah.
The technical name for it would be autobiography. So that's what this is. It's not less than that, and there's no way it can be more than that.
Yeah.
Very, very heady stuff. Now, here's the deal. This is the little trick that we've played on you. And we're sorry, sort of.
Apologies.
Maybe, in quotes. Every day, pretty interesting stuff to notice. It is. You are an interesting stuff to notice. That is true. Jasmine, you truly are.
You are worthy of noticing.
You are worthy of noticing, exactly. In doing this, in connecting the matrix and act to the hero's quest, and given that most stories and movies and stuff have the hero's journey, quest, whatever you want to call it, embedded in it.
It's baked in.
And if you start noticing that, you're going to notice your story more. And when you notice your story more, you'll flex it.
Another opportunity.
And we've already done that.
Yeah. Well, and you've already done that today if you've been here on the call with us.
So we can't take it back.
Nope. Sorry.
We already added it.
Yeah. That's where the apology comes in.
And so when you're doing this stuff, go for adding flexible, nice stuff to people's story. Because you're going to be adding to their story. Whenever you meet somebody, you're adding to their story.
Yeah. And then what do you want to add to their story?
Well, now you got a decision. What do I want to add to this person's story? What do I want J.K. Rowling writing about me?
Yeah.
Oh, be careful there.
Stuff to ponder.
Or Tolkien or whoever. Well, Tolkien's gone. What do I want to get written about me? Right. So when you interact with somebody else, you're part of their story.
You're participating in their hero's quest.
It's a shared, and I think I do add some yucky stuff. Oh no, I bet you I've been guilty of that.
Here we go. Hand up. There you go. You're in good company.
I've been there, done that. It's hard to be human and not do that, doesn't it?
That's part of the story too. Sometimes we bring some misery into other people's stories as well as our own.
It happened. And now you get to see. But now it's written into your story.
And it then becomes part of your quest. Oh, this is part of my quest, this miserable part here. Okay.
Add it in. So it's an interesting, I just wanted to go back to it. We hadn't reviewed it in a while, but it's a great way to remember to tell your story to yourself, flex it up, and then realize that you're adding to other people's stories. And you
all
get
the time.
to choose. Maybe you've seen the bumper sticker where commit random acts of kindness.
Yes.
Well, the full thing is and add really cool stuff to people's stories. That's what you're doing when you do random acts of kindness. They'll want to tell the story of your kindness. Or you can go the Darth Vader route.
Yeah. Don't be crappy about it and see how that works.
And that'll become part of the story as well.
Yeah, right. I met this jerk the other day.
So, but anyway, this is just a way of fluffing up and getting act into your life. It's a fun thing.
Yeah, pretty simple, easy to do. You can do it anytime, any place.
Yeah. And so, this lends itself, by the way, if you're doing the matrix with somebody else and they're giving you who's important and yucky stuff and relief moves and satisfaction moves, if you're just the scribe of their story, you're just most interested in getting the elements put together for their story, right? You're not judging the elements. No. You're just saying, oh, where does that go? Yeah. How does that fit in your story?
Yeah, that part of the story there, where would you put that?
So I can help you write it down.
Yeah.
So in a way, when you work with others, you're helping others write their story. That I mentioned because people have many times noted the non-judgmental nature of this. And that would be a big part of it. That we're not going to judge somebody's story.
Nope.
Yeah. That would mightily get in the way of
And we're not going to take over and write their story for them.
That won't work. It just won't.
Not my story to tell.
Right. So instead, we're going to just help them write their story.
Do
Just
this.
what you have anybody do.
Yeah.
So now you're ready to go do your own autobiography.
There you go.
And if you've forgotten how to do it, Phil will hold up the picture.
Oh, here's your reminder right
There's
here.
your reminder. That's how you start writing your
Start
autobiography.
over here. Who's important?
And now you can write it as many times as you want.
You're the hero. Here you go. Uh-oh. Here comes uh-oh. Yeah.
More than likely, if you're a human, fear will show up.
There you go. Oh, okay, there it is.
I'm going to do some relief moves, like go to the inn and get a drink, right?
Yeah. Take a break. Yeah. Go seek counsel with somebody,
Whatever, right?
Whatever you got to do.
Yeah, that's one of your relief moves. Which
Or
are part of the
run,
story.
just plain old run. They did a lot of running in that movie too.
Big ass running. Yeah.
Sprinting, leaping.
Anyway, all kinds of fun stuff. So
And
it's fun to look at movies and stuff from this point of view. And two, it's fun to look at yourself from this point of view. And the exercise in the end is about increasing your flexibility. You got some flexibility in how you want to write your story, which is your next move.
Yeah.
The old moves are done.
Yes.
They're all done.
They're back here in your backpack.
They're in the backpack heading on. So now it's what's my next move?
Yep. Well, you're making me now think of, Kevin, what Gandalf.
I like the narrative therapy spin. I don't know if it's narrative therapy, but it's just how you tell your story.
Yeah.
People have said that, but we don't do narrative.
Not narrative. We don't look at it narrative.
We're just comparing your story to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
We stay out of the therapy game, don't we?
As much as possible, yeah.
As much as possible. We just want to show people a point of view.
Yeah. and then get out of their way.
And then get out of their way. Right. Get the heck out of the way.
Or write down help them write it down and get out of their way. It's either way, it's going to end up with us getting out of the way so that person can tell their story.
But folks, knowing all of this I still enjoy the point of view. I still enjoy watching all kinds of movies with heroes, quest themes and stuff. I get a kick out of them, watching them. But in doing so, it reminds me of my own story. It's an interesting thing.
It's why there's so
this
rich
observer self that allows one to narrate your story up to now. And then
you can be looking down to, I wonder how the rest of this.
That's the unknown. And how fear shows up.
I'm going to go off and do this and see what shows up.
And then here we go. Quit. Go do something for somebody who's important to you. Phil and I's fallback move.
It's
fallback move. It works.
Yeah.
It just works. And we keep doing it. So it's fun. Now, we are going to then, coming up Wednesday, drum roll, we'll relate this to the philosophy and theory of language and cognition, or at least we'll begin to do that.
Yeah, we'll start to lay the groundwork for that.
In the intermediate, which really gets wrapped around something called verbal aikido. So you really want to crank up your flexibility, your story. Now you're going to go whip on some verbal aikido onto it. You'll see. And that lends itself heading on into Friday, which is really is the philosophy and theory of language and cognition that all of this is based on, which adds to the hero story stuff, fun stuff. I guess gives us something to do.
Yeah, we think it's fun. We have a good time with it.
It adds to our story.
Yeah. It's a fun story to tell.
Anybody, you know what? Another one came to mind, Phil. We should do another book writing series.
Oh, yes. That's a good idea.
Anybody here? The reason I was at a wedding on a concept, and the person next to me, I don't remember how it came up, but she said, "Oh, bucket list." She said, "Oh, my bucket list is to write a book."
Oh, yeah.
Well, I've been there, so maybe anybody here interested in
putting their hero's quest down in writing, right?
Phil just said it. Well, what she said is on my bucket list. The person who was sitting next to me at the table at the wedding said, on my bucket list is writing a book. That's part of her, drum roll, quest, her journey. So I would enjoy. David said,
there you go.
Enjoy that. So we have found that many people have that on their list, part of their journey. Let's put it that way, an unfulfilled part of their journey. And apparently, there's a lot of evildoers that show up and get in the way.
Oh yeah. Apparently, it's a perilous hero's quest.
It's very perilous.
Yeah.
And so we'll do that maybe next.
Fraught with danger and what else?
Certainly seems to be.
Yeah.
in creating lots of fun and useful in various formats. Oh, good Lord, yeah. Well, now, obviously, Jasmine, as you can see, you can go to work using the Matrix and to do it. But we have other ways. We've actually coached a whole lot of people.
Yes, we
through
have.
book writing. And of course, we've written a few ourselves.
Yep.
So, especially the nonfiction, the how-to books.
Yeah.
Those are a little easier to tackle than the fiction because fiction you got to make up.
Yeah. It's all got to come from your head.
That's you. You got to make it up.
Right.
So whereas the how-to is usually you know how to.
Yeah.
You just got to get it into writing. But people get stuck on how-to books too. I imagine they even get stuck on writing a book on how to write.
I think that same danger shows up in all of those cases.
This keeps coming back. Yeah. But we'll do that. But for this week, we're on the Hero's Quest, and we're going to do the Hero's Quest.
We'll stay with that.
We enjoy doing the Hero's Quest. We're a junkie for all those
Pretty
movies.
much. There you go.
I'm thinking podcasts, online courses, books, maybe.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We do all that stuff.
Been there and done that.
We don't do, I mean, you could call this a podcast. Some people do it, these as podcasts. Online courses, we got a bevy of those. And books, yeah, we do books. But we help. So we'll do that. We'll help people. We'll do some free content on that. See who shows up.
Who knows? Maybe you'll show up. Maybe
We'll do
you'll.
that. But Wednesday we're going to. So what it'll be? It'll be something like, your hero's journey. Using verbal Aikido on your hero's journey.
Yes.
How's that?
Yes.
Or adding
verbal Aikido to your hero's journey.
There you go, folks. That's the title for Wednesday. Adding verbal Aikido to your hero's journey. That'll work. We're going to add it. You'll notice we'll never have a title that says we're going to subtract.
Yeah. Or eliminate.
It doesn't work that way. But we will add. We'll add verbal Aikido to your hero's journey. And we'll be back on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I got to go dig out
Do you?
I got 10 inches of snow.
Wow, we have a lot of rain right now.
Oh, no, I got snow, so that's cool.
Okay. All right, Pat.
Okay.
Good luck.
Bye-bye, all.
Everybody, take care. See ya.